Hello and welcome to Colleague 7's Sprint Review for 18.05.02. This will cover the work undertaken between the 15th of May to the 28th of May. Starting with the sprint goal, and for this sprint our primary goal has been to ensure that a user can create a document in Word format and to investigate implementing a progress bar for the bulk sending of emails and the generation of GDPR links. Looking at the high-level items and to explain further, in this sprint, we've been able to update the Create Letter functionality so that users have the ability to create Microsoft Word formatted docx files. We've investigated and developed a proof of concept progress message so that when bulk sending emails, users are being proactively informed on the status of each email. Also, when generating GDPR links, again, users are now better informed on the progress. This won't be part of the upgrade, but will be delivered in the next sprint. We've been working on the notifications area to resolve issues with incorrect counts as well as implementing a read and unread option. The quick search has been updated with an include exclude leavers option to filter out unnecessary contacts. When creating a candidate or contact, you'll notice the forename will be copied to the known as field if it's empty. This is just to recreate behavior from V6. We've resolved an issue when using the archive feature within the admin area. We've made some enhancements to the login process. This is in relation to both speed and security. We've added a new section to the admin area for the notes templates. To begin with, this is solely against requirements and will allow you to enter default wording to the job description. We've also updated the create requirement workflow to show the job description when creating the record. And we've updated GDPR consent process to record whether consent is being applied manually or automatically via the web link consent workflow. As a final point, it's worth noting that Colleague 7's infrastructure received several updates during the course of the sprint. This is in light of some performance issues which were being reported. This was due to our Redis cache on the Azure environment reaching a threshold in terms of capacity. We've now taken the appropriate steps to avoid this event occurring in future, and a number of other performance-related updates will also be applied during the next 2 weeks. We'll now go through a brief demonstration on the key features from this sprint. Okay, so the first point to cover, and it was really the primary goal of the sprint, is the update that's been made to the Create Document feature so that Colleague 7 now has the means to create a Microsoft Word formatted docx file. So you can now create docx files from the system rather than only being able to create PDF files. So the Create Document option is available on most entity records, and on clicking Create Document it will obviously bring down the partial view for creating a document. Here you'll have the ability to pull in letter templates, any specific merge fields against the record. You've got the option obviously to name the document, and then obviously you have a document type there that you can assign against the letter as you create it. But the key update here really is that from the save as option, you used to only be able to save it as PDF, but now we've got obviously this Word document option as well. There's also a send as well, so if you wanted to go from this workflow straight into creating an email, and which you're then planning to send this document as an attachment on that email, you can do it through that workflow. But just for the purposes of demonstrating this, let me pull in a letter template, and here's one I made earlier. So that's a letter template which is just designed to obviously show that the information is being pulled in. We'll assign a document type, just sort of test, and we'll save as a Word file. So the save process will go through. You'll have the option once it's been created to either download the document or to open it if you wish. It's obviously been placed within the documents area there, but we'll open the document, and what that will do is we'll open up a new tab, and then it will pull through the file into that tab so that you can then view that document within Word Online. Obviously within Word Online you then have the means to edit the document in browser or in Word, but the point is that this is a docx file. So for integrations such as DocuSign, where you're looking to incorporate other options there in terms of auto signatures. This is now available through this mechanism rather than the situation we had before where it was only PDF. So by allowing you to create docx files, you're able to then edit these files in a manner using Office 365 integrations so that you can send those documents on in other methods. So it just opens the door really to more options available to you by being able to give you the ability to edit or create docx files. So that's the main update that's been made there. Obviously, if we just look at that docx file there, it will obviously bring through as a preview, as you would normally expect it to. But that's the key update that was made there in this sprint. The next point to cover relates to the notifications area. So the notifications have been in place for some time, but we have had some feedback advising that either notifications have failed to come through promptly, or the count that's against this bell icon here has been incorrect in terms of the number of notifications that are in place. Also a desire for there to be the ability to kind of read a notification and mark it as read or unread it if need be, and basically for the counts to be aligned in that way. So essentially the notification area just needed a bit of attention from the developers just to refine, bug fix, and also apply some enhancements. So it's had that work done onto it now. So essentially what you'll see as it was before, notifications, when notifications come through, you'll have the number assigned against the icon to give you that indication. But what you have is the means to mark something as read, so you can click on the notification and it will essentially tick it off. You can also mark it as unread as well, and yeah, obviously you'll see that count update based on the number of notifications that are basically unread. That's the what this value essentially equates to, rather than just the number of notifications that are in here, because essentially that value was changing based on lots of different scenarios. So you can mark both as read, any notifications as unread, and whatever is unread at that time is what you'll see in that notifications area. Also, the mark all as read will always appear at the top as it should, and also clear all again will always appear at the top as it should. And again, we were getting instances where these were appearing throughout the page. So yeah, those are the updates made to the notifications area, and that now works more in line with how it was expected to do so. That's the update we've made there. The next point to cover relates to the quick search, and it's a minor point really, but it's worth covering all the same. It's simply a case that we've now added the include levers option into the quick search. So just as everywhere else on the system now, where you search for contacts, you have the option on whether or not to exclude levers or to include them. And previously you could do a quick search here. It would search for all the main entities, including contacts, but previously it wouldn't factor in whether or not that contact was a lever. So now what you can do is obviously set that to no or yes, and it will filter out levers or include them accordingly. So yeah, essentially the default will be no. It will remember your last option, but yeah, essentially if you want to set it to yes, further contacts will come through that are levers relating to that quick search, and that's the update we made there. The next section to cover relates to the update that's been made to both within admin but also against requirements currently, and that's the option to predefine or pre-default the wording that's used in the job description. So against within the admin area on templates, you have a section here now called notes, and this will be updated over time to include all entity records, but at the moment it's just against requirements. And what you're able to do is essentially enter in whatever default wording you would want to use as a template for that notes section when creating the record. So a test job description, location, detail, so on and so forth. If you would set basically a set of guidelines around what job description, how you would want the job description laid out, and then when you go to actually create a requirement, what we've done is we've included the job description field within here, and then obviously that wording has obviously come through, so you've got that wording there to begin with as a template in which you can obviously build upon. So that's the functionality being added there. As I say, at the moment it's just against requirements, but our intention is to update this area so that it's for all entities, so that you can have default wording assigned to the notes section of all entities when you're creating them, and that update will come at a later date, but for this update it's for requirements and job descriptions. Okay, so the final point to cover just relates to the GDPR consent workflow, in that it now will differentiate between consent that's being manually applied by a user updating the record, or whether it's been applied to the record via the candidate or the contact clicking on a link from an email that you've sent them, essentially approving consent via that method or web link. So what I'll do to begin with, if I apply consent, but on the basis of doing it manually. So I'll set this as yes, and I'll say that today this person gave consent, and just hit save on that. What you'll notice from the history when you look at that is that you've got a GDPR consent given, and then in brackets it's got manual against it there, against today's date, and that's how that will come through in terms of its appearance. If we wanted to switch this up, so let's remove that consent and then email, and then we'll request consent instead. So this is GDPR test, and then we'll send that consent request. And then, sorry, that's off screen, but I've received that email and I'm just clicking yes now. That's just taken me to the landing page. And then if I refresh this record, so first and foremost, obviously the notifications come through just confirming consent's been given, but also if we go to the history, you'll see that GDPR consent's been given and it was via web link, and obviously that will have the date and time because it was on the basis of when it was clicked by the user, whereas the manual method is obviously just applying the date, so that the time will be midnight when it's been applied. And that's just the two differences that are now set up there. We'll be updating the GDPR report so that it understands the difference between manual and automatic updates also, and then that way you just have that understanding in terms of the difference between how the records are being updated and consents being applied. And that's just the update we made there. As always, if you have any queries or feedback, please get in touch. I'll be keen to hear from you. Also, for those using Colleague 7, feel free to submit your enhancement requests via the support team or directly to me using the above email address. The next video will be the sprint plan for 18.06.01, and as always that will contain a high-level overview on the items we intend to work on during that sprint. Thanks for watching.